name's Matt Andrews. I'm one of the geography lecturers here at Calywith College.
Hello, my name's Hugh Williams. I'm the other geography lecturer at Calywith College. It's very nice to meet you.
So today we just want to talk to you very briefly about our fantastic A-level. So if you're wondering why study geography, to be honest, if you've already got an interest in the world map, the physical world, biomes, where they are, the natural processes that lead to the landscapes that we have around the world, or if you really like the human world, you like the interactions between countries, seeing how the balance of power is changing as we see a rising China, then this is a fantastic course for you. If you've been sat binge watching things like David Attenborough during lockdown, you're definitely going to love our A-level.
Okay, so let's have a little look at that. We've all been binge watching David Attenborough. So first thing is your classic lessons. You will sit in geography lessons, we call them lectures, and you will learn your traditional geography subjects, which we will talk to you a little bit more about in a moment. At the end of the second year, you will have 3 exams, okay? First exam will be your classic physical geography exam. So we'll be looking at plate tectonics, we'll be looking at coasts and other things like that. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. And then you'll have a second paper, which will be your human exam, similar kind of thing. There's a third paper, and that is what we call a synoptic paper. And that is your opportunity to show your geographical skills. It's not really a revision paper, okay? It's your opportunity to take everything you've learned, including a bit of GCSE, I guess, and pull it into that paper to show that you are a geographer.
In addition, the course is 20% coursework, so you'll get to choose an investigation. You could study a physical geography investigation or a human geography, it's entirely up to you, and write a coursework report. This is worth 20% of the course, and if you're not the biggest fan of exams, then this can be a really good 20% where you know what you got before sitting those exams, and it's one where, fortunately, you can do really well in it.
Yeah, it's great, good option. So, what topics are we going to do? We're not going to talk about this for ages. I'm just going to introduce you to what you're going to be learning. If you want to have a little bit of previous reading, you can go away and do some. So, in the first year, we look at globalization. Okay, we're looking at how the world has become increasingly interlinked and networked, and how goods and people and information move around the planet. Okay. From there, we look at the impacts of that, positives and negatives. So things like tensions versus things like environmental well-being and information that circulates around the planet, and how that can be really, really beneficial. That leads on to the second human geography topic, which is what we call diverse places. And diverse places really looks at how things like globalization have helped shaped places, helped them evolved, and maybe changed from what they were like traditionally. Now, in some places that's a good thing. If you think about global hub cities like Toronto, it's just a really vibrant place to be, a lot like London. In some places it's considered not so good because it's taking away cultural aspects and things like that. So again, we're looking at tensions and the impacts of those things. We do 2 physical geography units as well, and those topics are plate tectonics, which you will be familiar with. That builds really well on top of your GCSE, on top of the information you already know about volcanoes, earthquakes, and how the plates move around the planet. And again, it looks at impacts and then how we manage those impacts for the benefit of the people that live in tectonically active areas. Finally, because we're in Cornwall, we look at coasts. All right, coastal erosion, and it's the same kind of process. We're looking at what the actual processes are that shape the coastline, erosion, deposition, things like that. And then we look at the impacts of that on people, and finally, how we can manage it. Okay, so those are your 4 main first year topics in a nutshell. Matt's going to take you through the second.
So second year geography follows a very similar kind of structure. 2 physical topics, 2 human topics. We start with the human geography, so we start looking at the topic of superpowers, which is all about the current role of the United States as the global superpower, this ability to project its influence anywhere in the world. But as we know, we've got a rising China, we've got the influence of Russia, and then we've got regional players such as Brazil challenging that kind of dominance of the USA. It's quite geopolitical. It looks at the role of these countries in things like the United Nations, in terms of what we call soft power on the impact of culture, and then has a look at possible tensions between these superpowers and possible flashpoints for the 21st century. The second human topic we have a look at is health, human rights and intervention. So it's a bit like where it is, it's global development. Having a look at disparities in terms of education and healthcare between countries across the development gap, but also within countries. We'll also have a talk about what are our human rights, What protection do we have for our human rights? Do they apply to everybody across the world? You'd think they do. But unfortunately around the world we see an awful lot of human rights abuses, and we'll have a look at what are the strategies to solve those, all the way from military intervention in Afghanistan to putting things like trade embargoes on South Africa to end the apartheid. In terms of the physical geography world, we'll start with the topic of water and water insecurity, which has a look at the physical processes, the things like precipitation, rainfall patterns around the world, but also how those are changing. So how these might change with future climate change and what that could mean in terms of water insecurity for people in the coming century. Areas such as the Middle East are really obvious kind of possible losers to this impact of climate change, but this year we've seen very much the intense impacts of droughts, including things like the Australian bushfires at the start of the year. We'll then move into our final topic, which is the carbon cycle, which is possibly the biggest threat to the planet to this day. So we'll have a look at this kind of the nuts and bolts of the processes of climate change that's occurring in the world right now. We'll have a look at the evidence behind it. There's some talk about uncertainty, but we'll really clarify what that means, where the uncertainty lies. Typically it means in how bad it's going to be. And then lastly, we'll kind of finish on the note of what's being done around the planet and what solutions do we have to solve this planetary threat.
So all in all, guys, I think what I'd say about the A-level courses, it takes you away from being someone that wants to learn about geography and understand geography, and it moulds you into a geographer, somebody that really understands both the physical and human aspects of the planet from the point of view of physical and human geography, but also from a slightly political point of view, which is so important today. We also do a little bit of economics and things like that in there as well. However, there is another factor which is even more exciting, and that is that you get to go and do some field work. Hey, welcome to the beach.
So 20% of your course is fieldwork. Geographers love being outside. There's a couple of investigations that we have a look at for coursework, but really it's up to you and what you'd like to investigate, whether it be coastal defences and our changing landscape around Cornwall, or it's urban environments or rural change, entirely up to you.
That's about it, I think. So, back to the studio.
Back to the studio. Okay, so the final thing that we're going to talk about are our international trip opportunities. Now, of course, this will depend on the state of the world in September and going forward for the next year, but if not, hopefully we'll offer these opportunities in the following year as well. So we currently run optional trips out to Iceland for those people who fancy climbing between the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, going and seeing some volcanoes and the kind of the tectonic landscape. We also go out to Toronto, Canada for our students who want to go and see this global hub city of Toronto, the most diverse city in the world. It's a brilliant North American city to go and visit. We also drop in on things like Niagara Falls while we're there. And then lastly, we go to the country of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, where we run a HIV charity, an education project. So there's a chance to go out, see the kind of the work that's being done with the fundraising by the college and to support those students.
Okay, so that's geography in a nutshell, guys, really. It's brilliant. We both love teaching it. It is a really vibrant, interesting course, as we've already been through. If you're into it, if you're thinking, yes, this is the course for me, you will come out with a well-rounded A-level. However, you can prepare for that right now. If you go onto the college website, okay, and search for geography, you will find there is a document there that's got loads of links in it and loads of information. We've tried to make it as kind of inspiring as possible because at the moment you've all been sat at home and you're probably quite bored. So it's just interesting videos and bits and pieces you can read. Go and have a look at that. It'll give you a really good opportunity to get your head into geography. So when you get here, we can hit the ground running. Looking forward to meeting you guys, and I will see you soon.
See you in September.
Bye guys. Bye.
I wonder who's to blame for the way